Welcome to the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast, the show where ambition is celebrated, not silenced. Lori, Ann, and Angie are your hosts, and each week we dive into real, unfiltered conversations about women doing extraordinary things in their lives and in their businesses. Here we don't shrink to fit expectations or apologize for our success. We share stories that are inspiring, hilarious, and always authentic, because becoming unstoppable isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and join our community of women who know that no is a complete sentence and there are no limits to what we can achieve together. Well, hello, ladies. I am so excited about another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. Angie here with Lori and Ann, and today we are going to be talking about resilience in action. Because let's face it, as women, we have overcome many different types of adversities, whether it be in business or in health or in your personal life. And we're going to unpack some mindsets and habits that have helped all of us persevere during these times of adversity. So nice to see you ladies today.
Great to see you too, Angie.
So I know none of us have had any adversities in our life, so I guess the podcast is over, right?
That's right. Especially not
everybody
Ann.
else, not us.
Yeah, right, exactly.
All the other women, just not us. So who would like to share an adversity they've come over and then some strategies and mindsets that have helped you get through that?
I feel like the list of actual adversities might be long, but the mindset. So literally in the last week, I've had a head injury and 2 ceilings collapse due to water damage. And the feeling of helplessness when there's just so much going on and a physical ailment that, I mean, I haven't been allowed to drive. I haven't really been allowed to do too much because of the headache from the concussion, which also affected work. So it's like has been this feeling of helplessness in every aspect of my life. The ceilings are still not fixed. I've got clothes all over my office, which is why I'm taping in a different room. And I don't have control over anything. I just have to wait for the contractor to come do his job, wait for my head to heal so that I can start doing more things. And the helplessness has been just brutal. So what I have done to try and overcome it is just what I can do. And that seems simple, but my morning routine, get up and do my morning routine, because I can do that. That's not hard. It doesn't take much effort, and it makes me feel better. So I'm doing little things, but the things I'm doing are kind of the back to basics, things I have to do, whether I feel sick, whether I feel healthy, no matter. These are the things I have to do because they're level setting. So that's my strategy, is like, what do I know I can do that's going to make me feel good about myself, no matter how small it might be?
And it's what you choose to do as well, right? Not have to, because that has some heaviness to it, but you choose to do it because you know the benefits it provides you.
100%. Yeah, it's not a have to. I definitely have set my schedule to make sure these things get done.
Yes. We use the term have to out of habit a lot of times. And it goes back to, one of the conversations we had in prior podcasts, that it is a choice. And when we say have to, our brain deals with that differently than I choose to. So thank you for that, because the little things that you can do and choose to do go a huge way, a huge, yes, a huge way for your healing, for your resilience, and I'm impressed that you're here today. I am truly impressed that you are
Right?
here today.
I
I
think it
choose to be
shows her.
100%. This is one of the things I look forward to on a weekly basis. This is at the top of the list of what I look forward to doing. So,
Love
Yeah, this is resilience in action right before your eyes in real life, in
it.
real
Exactly.
time.
it's also slight
Exactly.
selfishness because it really does. I feel I enjoy being here. I enjoy the conversations that we have. And I like how it makes me feel about myself that I accomplished what I said I was going to do. So there's a selfish aspect for sure.
But selfish is self-care.
And that internal benefit you get because you've had compounding adversities, and that's, it's like it's not
Mhm.
just one thing, it's like one thing leads to another. It's like I have a head injury. Well, I have a head injury that is um temporarily impacting my ability to drive, to execute my typical activities of daily living, and and the list and the things that I enjoy. So it's this compounding effect that we often forget about whenever we have an adversity. And then we compound it even further with the two water leaks, so that makes the house in disarray. And when you have a head injury, the best thing, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but we know is rest. Rest the mind, rest the brain. Our body fights against that. So that's another compounding adversity, because our body is like, I have energy, I can do things. But our brain is going, no, no, must rest, must heal, you know. and, and so it just keeps, it's like it really just compounds one on top of another. And I think oftentimes we forget about that. And it's like, okay, I just have to accept what is for now. This isn't forever. But for now, I must do this. And if I keep really pushing myself, how many steps backwards is that going to take you for every step forward you're trying to make? And that can be a lesson learned the hard way.
One of the compounding issues that I didn't really pay a lot of attention to until we're having this conversation was I didn't tell my clients what had happened because I felt like it would sound like an excuse or it would, I don't know, somehow diminish my authority in some way. So there was one client that needed me to do something I had to tell. I'm like, I'm not allowed to drive. So I found somebody else to fill in and do what needed to get done. But I really haven't shared. I've just tried to do everything I can do and do it in as timely a fashion as I can do it in. Because as an entrepreneur, I feel like that you have to protect the clients. And I don't know if my answer or the way I did it is the right way to do it, but I felt very, very strongly about not involving them in what was going on with me and just trying to do the very best I could do to provide the normal level of service I would provide, even though it wasn't the normal level.
Yeah, well, and there is something about how, about privacy. Some people are more private than others.
Mm.
And I like what you said about you had the strong feeling that you didn't want to not bring it up to your clients for whatever reason. And listening to that and acting in that manner is great, because sometimes we don't. Some people, it's more natural for them to talk about adversities, and for other people it's not. I'm more of a private person. So honoring what feels right to you is the right thing to do.
Yes. I know when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in September of 2024, I struggled with who do I tell, that type of thing. Cause I wasn't the type of person. Some people put their entire journey out on social media. I knew that wasn't me, but I also knew, there was so many unknowns. And that was the one thing that I battled of, there's so many unknowns, and I knew I was going to get a lot of questions. And so I wrestled with that. I was like, and then I was like, there's a part of me that was bumping up my integrity because I felt like I was keeping a secret. And we know, secrets don't make friends. And you know what I mean? Like all of these things just talk about compounding, right? It was just kind of one thing after another. And I didn't know at the time, I was still trying to figure out what treatment avenue I was going to take. And so then I didn't know how sick I was going to be and just all of these things. So I'm dealing with that diagnosis. And I do, listeners, I got to tell you, so in June of 2025, I am cancer free. So that's a huge triumph story, but it was really, I will say, more of a private struggle. And I even like to tell my dad, oh my gosh, I delayed telling my dad because I mean, if you have listeners, if you've been watching any of these shows, my dad is my hero. He is my best friend next to my husband. And I mean, we are so, I am just so grateful. I was blessed with really the world's best father. And I was scared to death to tell him because I didn't want him to worry. So all this stuff was compounding, and then I just made the conscious decision of I like being in the other person's shoes. Like, okay, so telling my clients that I had this diagnosis, and I was like, if the roles were reversed, I would want to know, if nothing else, so that I could pray for that person, so that I could support that person in any way that I possibly could. And interestingly enough, about the same time I was going through my situation, my coach had back surgery. And so we were supporting each other through this journey. And I mean, so there was just so many things. But it was a wrestle. And I just kept thinking, okay, you're going to make the best decision today based on the information that you have. Now, tomorrow I may have different information that results in a different decision, but that was one of the little tricks that I told myself of, this is the information I have today. So this is the decision I'm going to make based on that information, knowing that tomorrow could be different because I will have new information. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just little, finding those little strategies that kind of get you through. And yeah, it's anyhow. But a lot of it starts right here, right?
Great. Yeah. And, getting through that. And I mean, your dad would have known something's wrong. Your
Oh,
dad would have known. When you're that close to somebody, they know. And if you're not telling them, or at least opening up a little bit,
yeah,
they're going to worry. And a lot of times they're going to worry that they did something wrong.
sure.
So it's kind to share what you feel comfortable sharing,
Yeah, yeah,
especially with really close loved ones.
yeah. I remember, I talk about a butt pucker moment. I called my dad, and I asked if he was home and stuff, and he said yeah. And I said, do you mind if I come over? And if you knew the backstory, I to make a long story very short, I'm not welcome at my dad's house, and it's not because of my dad. I'll just say that.
Mm.
There are other people who live in the home who do not welcome me at all. So there's that situation. So I wanted to be respectful of him, but I knew it was like I knew I could. I'm talking to John. I was like, he's like, you got to tell him. And I said, I do. I've just got to tell him. And so But anyhow, then he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to lunch?" And I was like, "Oh, okay," you know. So, um, and it was real interesting how he handled it because I ended up telling him at lunch, and I didn't know how he was going to react, and he didn't react. Matter of fact, he totally changed the subject and asked a completely unrelated question, and I was like, "Oh," but I knew that was him protecting himself from because he didn't know how to handle that. I mean, I'm sure his mind went to some dark places, even though from day one, my prognosis was great. It was caught early. Get those mammograms, get those. If you even remotely think you have the tiniest of tiny anomaly, go get it checked out because early detection truly saves lives. PSA. Done with that. But um, my prognosis was always great. Like I knew I wasn't terminal. And so I had a lot of things going for me, healthy otherwise, just had a lot of great things going for me. But he just didn't know how to handle it. And my dad has some mobility problems. So I walked him to his vehicle and I might get a little emotional. Um, but we just we just had a moment where we were both crying, we were hugging each other. No words were spoken, but they didn't need to be spoken. And he held my hand and said everything's going to be all right. And I'm like, it is, Dad. It is. And then he got to work. I mean, so he was overcoming my adversity, and that's something we also don't think about is how it impacts the people around us. And he got to work and he did all kinds of research and he helped me on my journey with the research and stuff. So that's a whole other story. But you know, that's it. When we keep things to ourselves, um, we can lose some of that because I wouldn't have been armed with some of the information that I was armed with had my dad not gone to work. Long story, long story long.
No, I love that because I think we discount the fact that some of our resilience sometimes comes from support of other people. I know
Yes.
that, and I've talked about this before, after my two brothers died within 2 months of each other, like I lost my mind and I made a bad decision one night and ended up having to tell my mom what I had done because I told my brother and he said, you need to tell mom. Mom would rather know that you're struggling and, you know, that you're okay than to never know you were struggling and find out you're not okay. So, I ended up telling her and we were standing at the cemetery over my brother's graves. And I just said, Mom, I have to tell you something. I'm like standing there picking all the pine needles off the pine branch that I could reach. And I don't remember what she said. I know that's probably the hardest thing I've ever had to tell my mom in my whole life. I have no idea what she said. What I do remember is she met me with such kindness and support that, I mean, my struggle still lasted a while past that, but just knowing that she was in my court and knowing that I wasn't carrying that secret from her made all the difference. So 100%, I feel like my resilience came partly from her resilience in the hard news I had to share with her.
And we learn how much our loved ones care about us. The people we love, how much they care about us too. And I'm bad about asking for help. I was raised by a strong mother and um, it just, yeah, there was something in me that I just struggled asking for help unless I absolutely needed it. And my story's not. My mom was ill. She was terminal with cancer, and I'm blessed to have three sisters and a brother. But the sisters, we all got together and took care of mom. We took turns because we all had jobs. And I was lucky because my job, I could work anywhere. And I just had to talk to my boss and say, hey, I'm going to work from my mom's home. But so I was so focused on helping mom, and my back was killing me. It just kept killing me. It kept killing me. And but I had things I had to get done at work. I had things I had to get done at home. I had just had hardwood floor put in my master bedroom. And so I'm like, I've got to move the furniture back in. And it wasn't like, I wasn't moving like, huge 100-pound anything, right? But I had to put, I had to lift them up and put like felt underneath them so they wouldn't scratch. And as I did that, all of a sudden, I mean, just a twinge, that really sharp twinge in your back, and you did something wrong. And I'm
Mm,
like, okay, I know how to fix this, but I didn't have time. And then I took a
mm,
trip, a business trip to New York for training. And every day it got worse and worse because I'm sitting all day. And finally, I was supposed to have dinner with one of my work colleagues, and I bent down to get my socks, and I fell to the ground. I could not get up to save my life.
mm,
I crawled to the phone,
mm.
called to the front desk, and said, "Look, this is what's going on. I can't. I've fallen and I can't get up."
Yeah.
All right. And they said, "Well, do you want us to call an ambulance?" And I'm like, "No, but I don't know what else to do."
Mm,
So I said, "Yes." They came. Oh my God. Have you ever been in New York City? New York
yes.
City. Have you ever ridden in a cab or, so you're in a car on those streets?
You could walk faster than the cab is traveling. Yeah.
Well, we were lucky that we didn't have a lot of traffic, but they were flying, and it was bounce, 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 bounce. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he's trying to put the cuff on me to get my blood pressure. And of course it's out off the charts. And he's like, relax. I'm like, how can I relax?
What?
You know, you gotta give me some drugs or something first before I can relax. But it was just, and then the hospital, the same thing. Now, I guess my point is the adversity was going through that. The next day, I had let one of my work colleagues know. I said, I'm flying home today. I can't sit in these meetings. And so, but then my boss, the instructor sent me an email saying how he was so disappointed that I didn't show up and why wasn't I there? And I'm like,
Excuse me?
I know, right? But the thing is, what I learned from that is one, you got to take care of yourself. Two, ask for help. I should have asked for help. And the third thing is, there is time for all of that crap that you
Mhm.
think you have to do today, but you don't have to do today. So don't kill yourself. I mean, I almost ended up with back surgery, but the doctor's like, well, we're gonna have to do surgery. You got this, thing here, and I have the sciatica, and you got a pinched nerve here. And I'm like, if it's a pinched nerve, can't you just like stretch me out? And he said, well, we could try traction.
How
Yeah.
about we do that?
Let's do that. And after my first traction session, I was like, okay, I'm going to be fine. But again, taking care of yourself. And I got out of the habit of doing that, especially with regard to back health. And I'm feeling it again. Not that pain, not that, but I'm like, okay, it's time to do, so yesterday I started doing my back exercises again because we need to take care of ourselves so we can serve others. And it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
doesn't mean you're weak. It's
No.
okay to ask for help.
Yep. Yep. Oh, that's so powerful. Because I used to think, early days, I used to think, yeah, I had to do it all by myself. And, because that we all have roles that we play within our family structure, our communities, that type of
Yes.
thing. And there's that saying, you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? And so, who was the busy person that was active in the community? Who was, I was um, in my role in the family was to be the hero child, which meant you didn't ask for help, you did it all yourself, Um, look at me, I'm the shining star. My
Yeah.
family can't be messed up. Look how good I turned out. Well, that was all smoke and mirrors. Let's just say, but early days, and like, even I look back even into my high school life, I didn't care about my grades, but I tried to shine in other ways. But um, early 20s, I was always either the youngest or the first. Those were my two things. If you give me still to this day, you give me the opportunity to be the first one to do something, I'm in. Like, I am in, because I love to be the first. I love to be the trailblazer. And I was the youngest in my class. I started kindergarten when I was 4, graduated when I was 17 in June, didn't turn 18 till the end of September. I was a baby. I
Ah.
was a baby. And so I was always the first and or the youngest. And when I was 17, I moved out, and I had to work multiple jobs to maintain moving out. And so one of the things I did was I sold surgery. Hello. I sold jewelry.
And
um,
Angie's doing surgery on the street corner.
exactly. Um,
Discount.
for like an MLM back then. And I was killing it. Like, I was always I won all the trips and I won all the things, but I was a minor. And people were just in awe of because that's what a hero child does, right? That's how you show up. But it came at an expense, because I was like, it inflated my ego, because keep in mind, at 17, your brain is still developing, so it
Uh-huh.
inflated my ego, so that by the time I got mature enough, if I wasn't reaching that level, I was in the pits. I was
Uh,
just in, what I mean? Like, when I got like a corporate job and stuff, if I wasn't the shining star, I was nobody. And I worked for Rubbermaid, which was a Fortune 500 company back then. And I was just one of 2,500 employees in the Worcester office, and I wasn't a shining star. And I was like, then who the hell am I? You know, and adversity can come in all kinds of weird
that's
ways that sometimes we don't think about.
yes. It
Uh,
challenged your identity to
yeah,
not be that shining star.
yeah,
And
yep.
that can be debilitating, you know? I
Oh,
mean, it's yeah.
it was rough. Because I was like, where are my Atta girls? Where why isn't my name written number one on a piece of paper somewhere? Because that's all, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
that's what I had created for myself as the hero child. And like I said, not with my grades, but in a lot of other ways. And but yeah, it was really crazy. And I had to do a lot of inner work and a lot of growing and a lot of maturing, because it was all based on very immature things. So I didn't start college till I was 26, because I wasn't mature enough. I wasn't mature enough to make those, even though I thought I was. I mean,
Of course, of course.
of course I was, right? Looking back, not a chance. I mean, I was so immature. But so anyhow, it really came back to bite me. And so, thinking about those types of things, it's like, if any of you are out there, and you expect perfectionism. I know a lot of parents are like that, right? They want their kids to be number one in the class and the best
Yes.
on the sports team, or whatever it is. That's a lot of pressure, and it can come back and bite your child as an adult.
Yeah, I remember like in seventh grade. I know this is going way back, way, 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 way back. But I remember, up until that point, most of us weren't, most kids were not at the age where they were blossoming, if you will. And somewhere between sixth and seventh grade, all of a sudden, the girls that I hung around with and my best friend, all of a sudden, of course, boys, and there was always, boy interest and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, there was this, I felt like odd person out because I was happy. And it was
Mm.
shocking because we would sit at a table and it would be one complaint after another. And I'm like, I don't have anything to talk about because I'm happy. I mean, how bizarre is that? And so I had to like make up, I don't want to say make up, but yeah, think up stuff that, okay, I was mad at my sister for blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But it was just so weird. So there was that struggle to fit in with the kids, right, with my fellow students, but also you were talking about grades. I was expected to get A's.
Ah,
I was expected to get A's. An occasional B would be okay, but God forbid I would get a C. I mean, so there was pressure from the home, pressure from the kids, and especially like you said, your brain is not fully sometimes I don't think my brain is fully formed yet, it's still working on it. But it's just, these are the kind of challenges that we go through. They seem small, they seem minuscule, but it does impact us. It impacts how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about others, how we act in society. Are we being unapologetically ourselves?
I think to that point too, and Angie's mentioned it twice now, is the knowledge you have now. So we hold ourselves accountable for decisions we made in the past, but we know more now. So one of the
Yes.
things I've really had to work on to overcome some things is that I didn't know that back then. I wasn't the same person I am right now. I didn't have the same skill set, knowledge, mindset, any of those things. I
Exactly.
have to forgive myself for decisions I made based on the information I had at the time versus looking back and having so much more information and going, why didn't I see it back then? Well, because I didn't have all the stuff back then.
right.
Exactly.
And I think that's part of resilience is taking the time to take a look at that stuff. Like, what am I hanging on to? Because chances are you're hanging on to it because you're holding yourself accountable for knowledge you didn't have back then, or strength you didn't have, or support you didn't have. Something was missing that you now currently have, but you're still carrying this baggage that, oh, well, I could have done this better. I could have gotten better grades. I could have achieved this. Like, well, you weren't the same.
And I love what you said about what are you hanging on to?
Mm.
Key core question. Yes. What are we hanging on to that's holding us back?
Yeah.
Because that 100% will affect your resilience. If you're carrying around a pile of rocks, you're not going to go very far.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful thing, and someone who myself who has done a lot of trauma work throughout my life and continue to do some trauma work. Um, yeah, it's you think about, it's like, and why, but I'm realizing now that it's my body's holding on to things. And so, Anne, you talked about
Oh,
your
yeah.
body and your mind kind of being at
Mhm.
odds. I'm in that spot right now. It's like, where in my mind I know to let it go, but my body is still holding on to some trauma that I'm trying to release. And but it's being conscious. That's another strategy for resilience is being conscious and aware and having those insights, and we hear this all the time. It's like, where do you hold stress in your body? Some people it's in their back, some people it's, for me, it's from like here up. And sometimes I feel like I'm, white, tightly wound like this, and I'm like, okay, I'm conscious of that. So I'm consciously, pulling my shoulders down, doing shoulder things, rolling my neck and head, being conscious of those, because I know that's where I'm holding to stress and tension and that type of thing. And that having that awareness and consciousness can make a big, big difference, especially when your head and your body are at odds.
Yes, yes. And just breathing into those areas and allowing them to relax. And I love how you said shoulder rolls, because that's one of my top 5 easiest stress busters is shoulder rolls.
Oh, they just
It
feel
feels so good,
so
right? Just get that
good.
tingle. And
Yes. And oh, ah,
yes.
love it. And it takes 5 seconds, right? Like it's not
Right.
anything that has to take a long, long time, but just finding out and being conscious of where is it that you're holding
Mhm.
stress? Where is it that you might be hanging on to some adversity from the past,
Yes.
that you ruminate over, whatever, and being conscious of that and say, okay, if it's my lower back, then there are things that you can do, to help with that. And all those things. It's like the older we get, the wiser we get, right? But a lot of them, for that's okay for me, they're lessons I learned the hard way. So
Me too.
you know
Guilty.
the path is not straight. It's like we're all intertwined. Sometimes you go backwards a little bit, sometimes you get in a knot and go, how do I get out of this? I mean, right? But yeah. And I do this thing, another skill. These are skills I have definitely worked on in my life. Is that Dory, the movie Dory? She says, "Just keep swimming, just keep swimming," and mine is, "Just keep moving, just keep moving, just keep moving." And
I like that.
I kind of turn that into. So anytime I find myself stuck, I'm like, just keep moving, just keep moving, just. And I actually like do this with my body to force forward movement, but little mind tricks that I play on myself, but they work.
Yeah. I have to remember that. Just keep moving, because it's easy to give up. It's easy to just stop and say, and sometimes I have to stop. Sometimes I have to step away. And because when anybody's in the middle of that stress response, like, I'm never going to get this done, I'm never going to get this done, oh my gosh, and they're going to hate me, and blah 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 blah, all these things we tell ourselves. If I don't walk away when I'm in that stress mode, that what I call stupid brain mode, I'm not going to get anywhere, and I'm going to make more mistakes than do any good. So stepping away. But there are things like my bedroom that I'm just avoiding. I've got all this stuff on my dresser, and every morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, why don't I just clean it off?
Mm.
I don't know. It's more
Yeah.
convenient to get a shirt that way. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Uh,
Something else I do is, and I'm not very good at it, I have to be really intentional. And I've had a lot of opportunity this week to practice. Where's the opportunity in the adversity?
Oh,
So,
mhm.
that.
with all of my
Great
clothes being
question.
out of my closet, when I get to put them back in, have the opportunity to go through them and get rid
Mm.
of some stuff instead of saving. And, maybe
Yes.
put less stuff back in the closet instead of the way it was. With my head injury, I've had the opportunity to slow down, take naps during the
Mhm.
middle of the day that I would not normally take. I mean, haven't had much of a choice, but if I look at the opportunity, I'm like, oh, yeah, this week's been hard, but in some ways it's kind of been easy too, because I've gotten to slow down. I've gotten to pay attention to me because I had to.
Yes.
So if you can find the opportunity in it, because adversity, I mean, has a negative connotation. And I have learned this is one of the things I now know that I didn't know when I was young. I don't like negativity. I don't like being around it. I don't like being part of it. I don't like carrying it
Yes.
around within me. Like it just exhausts me. So I have to
Yes.
stay as far away from negativity as possible. So to flip adversity, go, okay, well, my ceiling's going to get painted. I'm going to go through and purge some of the stuff in my closet. I'm going to reorganize. Here's the opportunities that came out of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I took a similar stance when I brought all my summer stuff up from the basement and brought the winter stuff down. I'm like, before I put it in the closet, anything that I know I haven't worn in the last year, I'm going to try it on. Do I like it? Does it still fit? Am I going to wear it? That's the key. Am I going to wear it? And so I put a lot of stuff in the Goodwill bin because I knew even if it fit me, I knew I was not going to wear it.
Yep.
So opportunity, yes.
Yep. Yeah. And last night, and it's so interesting. We're all kind of in this season of things. I don't know what the season is, but we have had just a couple of friends, but mostly friends' parents pass away and move on to heaven. And so we have number 11 on Saturday.
Wow.
And in less than 3 months. And I had book club last night, and I love my book club. Like I love the ladies. It lifts me up. It brings me so much joy. I couldn't do it. And so what I did though is I went out to my pool, and normally I exercise in my pool. I couldn't do that last night. I just floated. I didn't even have my music on. Normally I have my music on, and I was just there. And I just listened to the wind. The wind was really kicking up because we got a few storms. I was listening to the birds and all the sounds in the neighborhood and stuff. And by the time, after an hour and a half, I was so relaxed, I couldn't get out of my raft because I was so relaxed. And I was like, this is what my body needed. This is what I just needed to be, to just not think about anything, not doing anything, and just be. And I was so present, just like I said, listening to the wind, and even the wind was kicking up the water. So hearing the water lap up against,
Yes.
the return and stuff. And I couldn't move. And I was like, oh, but it was so wonderful. And, because it's, you carry that whenever your friends hurt, you hurt, an empath. And so, so I have to find ways to take care of myself and release that. And, when my friends are hurting, then my heart hurts. And I got to be careful that I don't take on their pain, because that's not healthy. And, so, anyhow, and I felt bad missing book club, but that's just what I needed. And that's that insight, and just knowing, like, look, yes, it's something I love. And those women are great, and we lift each other up, and we laugh, and it's so fun. But just had to make the right decision for me in the moment.
Absolutely. So important.
Yep. And then I ate ice cream for supper.
Oh,
Better than breakfast for supper.
I don't know. Or ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yep. I can't have ice cream in the house anymore because I will down it. I mean, I have no self-control when it comes to ice cream. Especially cherry chocolate chip or raspberry chocolate chip. No, no boundaries on that one.
I put a banana on it. Does that count?
It
There you go. You're
does.
good.
It
You got
does.
your fruit. You're good.
That's
And there's
right. There you
milk and ice cream. So
It's
that was
milk and
totally healthy.
go. Yeah,
so it was vanilla. It was.
yeah. Just a little side note. Last year, I pulled out my ice cream maker, and Dave and I made a couple rounds of homemade ice cream. And oh my God, it is so good, but it is a chore.
Oh,
I
it's
mean, even
work.
though it's automatic, it turns automatic. It's a chore.
It's
It's a
work.
lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
But it's
It's
Resilience with ice cream. There we go.
yeah,
We have
yes,
a new
yes.
theme.
yeah.
Watch our podcast next week,
Yeah.
Resilience with Ice Cream.
But sometimes and just giving ourselves permission to do those things, because I know we've talked about like self-care in the past, but being aware of even when your friends are going through adversity, and it's okay to be empathic, but when you cross the line over into sympathetic and you really take their pain on, their struggle on, that can get very heavy, and once again it compounds, especially like I said, in less than 3 months we're on number 11, and that's a lot. I mean, our friends are going through it right now, and if I took that all on, it's like I can empathize with them, but then I need to step back and take care of myself, and I can be there to support them in whatever way that they need. But yeah, and just recognizing that, because I know, like, if my dad is hurting or something, I can take that on in a big way, and vice versa. He can take on my pain and that type of thing. But um, you got to set that healthy boundary to be able to step back, because we all have our own stuff. And then if you compound it with everyone you love's stuff, it gets very heavy.
Yeah. And, speaking of your dad, you said, he can take your pain on as well. And it seems like, I don't know, obviously, but it seems like when you told him about your cancer diagnosis, he took that energy and put it into research. And that's the benefit, not only for him, because he could do something productive to help you, but also helped you because, like you said, you went through some natural means to help support your body.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped me too, because I have friends who have cancer, and you shared some of that information with me. So, the adversity, we for every yin there's a yang, and for every yang there's a yin.
Mm.
So it's what we focus on that causes us true distress. I mean, true pain, true agony, I should say, because we're not looking at, okay, yes, this happened, it was bad. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to do something to something positive to get through it,
Mm.
and then learn from it, and maybe even help others learn from it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I do in my business. I help other women learn how to survive corporate and come out with your soul. And that's what we all do, right? We all, our businesses are based upon some of the things that we've learned in our life, some of the adversity that we've learned. So every one of us, I know every one of us takes that, learns from it, and serves other women with that knowledge.
Yeah. Learn from our mistakes. Save yourself
Yes.
the headache, the heartache, the stress, the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's,
Or at the
yeah.
very least, don't teach them not to beat themselves up for the mistakes they make, because I mean, I'm not good at not learning from other people's mistakes. That's not how I learn. I have to make my own and go, huh, yeah, they told me not to do this, but now I understand and I won't do it again. But it's the aftermath. Well, I'm not going to beat myself up at what I just learned
Right.
not to do it that way. I'll move on and do something different. So I think that's as important as Don't make them
Oh,
do
yeah.
it to begin with. If you figure that out, you'll be a billionaire doing training. But until that happens, like just go, okay, well, was it a mistake or was it a learning opportunity?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. What did I learn? Who did I meet? Because
Mm,
sometimes it's just, you have big plans for, I'm going to do this, and one thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong, another thing goes wrong. You start blaming yourself and blah, blah. But you have to look at, what did you learn? Who did you meet? Because that's also as important.
mm,
Some of the things I've gone through, people I've met have put me on the trajectory that I'm on now. I'm where I'm at today. And if I hadn't gone through that and I hadn't met those people,
mm,
I wouldn't be where I am today.
mm. Yeah. Yes, I love that. Reframing is so powerful. And yeah. And then, yes, think of the supports that you've gained along the way, the wisdom that you've gained along the way, whether it came from your own research or someone else sharing.
Mhm.
All of those things are just so vitally important. So, any last words of wisdom? I know we've dropped a lot of nuggets today on different things that women can try whenever they're going through adversity, and some lessons that we've learned maybe the hard way. um, but sometimes that can be our greatest teacher. But any last things you would like to share with the audience today?
I just think I like that we all, in different ways, hit on the same point of find the positive, find the opportunity, find the, reframe it, whatever words were used. It all said the same thing. Resilience isn't I have to do this all by myself, and when I do it, then I get to be proud that I did it by myself. It's, where are the resources that
Mm,
we have so many opportunities, and if we just reframe and look at, things a different way, you realize that adversity might, yeah, it really wasn't that bad.
mm.
I may not want to do it again. There's things in my life I definitely don't want to do again, but I like, when I look back, I like who I became because of it. I like what I learned. I like how I think now. There's a lot of opportunity that came from it, but I don't want to repeat it.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I know that I am who I am today because of not only the good things that happened in my life, but also the adversities. And, and looking at those adversities and turning it around, and feeling strong that I can get through it, and then learning from it and sharing it. And yes, so everything you said, Anne,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. My last words would be, just keep moving, just keep
Just
moving.
we're gonna do the Angie dance.
Yes, just keep moving, just keep moving.
I love it. I love it.
And then you get a little chuckle while you're doing it, and
Yes,
laughter is the best medicine, right?
100%.
absolutely.
Well, this has just been an amazing episode. As always, Anne and Lori have just imparted so much wisdom. And thank you for listening in today. And we look forward to seeing you in another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Unapologetically Unstoppable Women podcast. If today's conversation fired you up, inspired you, or made you laugh out loud, don't forget to hit subscribe and share this episode with another unstoppable woman in your life. Remember, you don't have to apologize for your ambition, and you never have to shrink to fit someone else's expectations. Keep showing up, keep breaking barriers, and keep living life on your own terms. Until next time, stay unapologetic, stay unstoppable.